Yes, this is Brooke Crump. I'm an attorney practicing law in Montgomery County. And if someone could just comment and let me know that they can see us today, that would be great. I have here, let me see if I can turn on. This is my first live video. Okay, we have here, and they're gonna introduce themselves. But I am an attorney, and these are some of my clients. However, due to certain situations within the government that we've experienced, we feel that this issue is one that needs to be shared publicly, as it affects all of our county in some way, shape, or form. And so what we're going to do today is, this is their story and they're going to share it with you. And we had contacted Moco's Voice, the admin, and we were unable to connect through that live video due to the flooding of numerous requests apparently to join the live video. So Moco's Voice will be sharing this, whereas their mission is to promote transparency within our system, to expose collusion, corruption, and things where individuals have been wronged, and where, quite frankly, children are not being the best interest of children is not being protected by the people who are hired in our county to protect those children. And so they're going to tell you their stories today. And so I'm going to so we're going to start with here on our right, because they are the first family that came into the situation and into the system that we're going to talk about today. So, will you please introduce yourselves?
Hey, I'm Michaela Rush.
And I'm Tyler Rush.
And where do you live?
We live in Troy.
And how long have you lived in Montgomery County?
I've lived in Montgomery County my entire life.
And over here, we have, you want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Jennifer Bowles.
And?
I'm Adam Bowles.
And where do you live?
We live in Mount Gilead.
And have you lived here your entire life also?
Yes.
How long have the four of you known each other?
I would say about 10 years.
And are y'all related to one another?
We're not.
Are you in business together in any shape or form?
No, ma'am.
No.
And how did you form your strong connection that you have today?
It's primarily through foster care. We're both foster parents through the same agency here in North Carolina.
And what agency is that?
It's Children's Home Society of North Carolina.
And with you being licensed through Children's Home Society, does that mean, where would the children that have been placed in your home, where are they in the system at? Are they is it everywhere, or?
We get children placed in our home from any county in North Carolina.
And do you have any children in your home right now?
I do.
And do you have any from Montgomery County?
I do not.
Have you recently had anyone in your home from Montgomery County?
Yes, ma'am. We have recently had a child placed through Montgomery County in our home.
And how old was the child when they were placed with you?
We received the child at birth.
At birth.
Straight,
And go ahead.
straight from the hospital.
Straight from the hospital. So you took the baby home from the hospital.
Yes, ma'am.
And and so that baby was with Montgomery County DSS. Did they provide you with car seats, diapers? Did you have to provide that for yourself?
We had to provide all of that to ourselves prior to getting the child placed in our home.
Okay, so you had to go out and get everything beforehand.
That's correct.
And when you took the child home, was there any family members that you knew about that the child that the county tried to place with any family members?
There was no family available to take the children.
And are you familiar with any family that's available to take the children now?
No.
Okay, and so the baby, we'll call him baby boy, is not with you today.
That's correct.
How old was he when he was removed from your home?
He was 8 months old.
At 8 months old, and is he living with his parents now?
No, he is living with another foster family within the county.
Did you want baby boy to leave your home?
Absolutely not.
And with that other foster family living in the county, are they related to the biological parents?
Not to my knowledge.
And are the biological parents in a position right now that you are aware of where they could even possibly get their child, or do you know where are they located in?
To my knowledge, they are not in a state to get their child back at this time. And I have been told that they are no longer living in the state of North Carolina.
And who provided you with that information? Was there assistance from any legal entities like sheriff's department, or has a sheriff deputy been in contact with you?
We had a sheriff deputy show up on our doorstep one night to do a child welfare check.
And with that child welfare check, what did he say? Did he say there was anything wrong? Did he take the child?
No, he did not take the child, and he did not report anything. You know, there was no safety concern or anything wrong with the child, wrong with us, or wrong with our home.
And have you checked to see if there was actually like a 911 call made towards your home?
Yes.
And were there any?
No.
So there's no 911 call, but he said it was a welfare check. What time of day was it that he came to your home?
He showed up at 9 p.m. on a Monday night.
Okay, and how long after that 9 p.m. Monday night welfare check was baby boy? Did he leave your home?
Baby boy left our home the next day, which would have been Tuesday around noon.
Tuesday around noon, and who picked the baby up?
A social worker from DSS, but it was not baby boy's social worker,
Who was the name of that social worker?
Lindsay.
Okay, and what did they say about why they were taking baby boy?
They said that they were removing him from my home and my husband's home for safety concerns.
And did you, how long did they say that would last?
I was told by a supervisor that had been in contact with me that baby boy would be gone for 2 weeks and then be returned back to our home.
And in regards to the safety concern, what specifically did they say the safety concern was?
They didn't say.
And who actually called DSS to notify them about the welfare check?
I notified DSS
But-
after the deputy left our home that night, that through email, that there had been a welfare check done on baby boy and was making them aware.
And so when you did that, you weren't afraid for your safety or that the child was going to be taken, or did you have any concerns whatsoever at all?
No, absolutely not. And we expressed our concerns to DSS that we were not concerned for our safety. There was nothing out of the ordinary, to happen at our home. The deputy just showed up and that was it.
Okay, and so do you happen to know where baby boy went next?
Baby boy stayed with a family for 2 weeks.
Okay, and what family is that?
It is Jennifer and Adam Bowles.
And so I think that's a very good introduction here. And so Jennifer and Adam, when baby boy was in your home, did you have any foster children in your home through Montgomery County?
We had just been given placement of an infant girl, but she was still in the hospital.
Okay, so you'd gotten the placement, she was in the hospital. And during the time that baby boy stayed in your home, did baby girl come home during that time?
They did.
Okay, and so when baby girl baby boy was there, were you fighting to keep baby boy in your home?
No, we took baby boy in as a respite care. They told us that he would only be with us for 2 weeks, that there was a court date in that 2-week mark, and that DSS would put safety measures in place so that the child could go back home to Tyler and Michaela.
And can you explain to our viewers what respite care is?
Respite care is when another foster family needs a break for either the weekend, for vacation they can't take the baby with, for, maybe the parents having surgery, whatever. So respite is just a temporary placement until the baby goes back to where it is placed.
Okay, and during that time, was the baby well adjusted in your home, or did he have an attachment with?
He had
the
a
Rushes?
huge attachment with the Rushes. He had trouble sleeping, trouble eating, from being, from his placement being changed.
And so, and I know this is hard, and so basically the baby was inconsolable and upset and wanted the only mother and father that he knew,
Yes.
right? And so after that check, was your foster license taken away?
No,
Did you ever have any report from the state of North Carolina that you had done anything wrong?
no,
Do you currently, you still have a placement through another county, correct?
correct.
What county is that?
Randolph County.
And so in regards to Randolph County, have they expressed any concern at all that you, there's a safety issue at your home?
No,
And did you want baby boy to return to your home?
absolutely.
And when you did you communicate that to DSS?
We did.
And how long did you have to communicate? So he didn't come back to you after the 2 weeks. Did DSS tell you where he went next?
No, so when the 2-week mark hit, DSS was supposed to contact us and baby boy was supposed to be returned home. I never heard from DSS. I reached out to them by phone, text, email, and nobody from social services reached out to us letting us know that baby boy would not be returned home. I had to find out through Children's Home Society and Mr. and Miss Bowles that he was not being returned home.
Okay, and so in regards to Children's Home Society, do you have can you kind of explain, they don't have any children in their custody, correct?
That's correct.
And what exactly services do they provide?
So they provide, Children's Home Society holds our foster care license.
And
So
they're a licensing agency?
they are a licensing agency within North Carolina.
Did Montgomery County, when you wanted to become a foster parent, did they have a class where you could become one through Montgomery County, North Carolina?
They did not have a class at the time, and I reached out to them multiple times and for multiple months in a row requesting help on how to become a foster parent, and I got nowhere.
And when was that, do you know?
We've been licensed for 2 years, so it would have been probably 2.5 to 3 years ago.
Have they had, and to your knowledge, have they had a foster class since?
No,
Do you know how many foster families there were in Montgomery County whenever you became one?
there was only a handful.
And by handful, what, maybe one or two? 1, 2, 3?
I would say probably 3 to 4.
And when did you become licensed foster parent?
Last May.
Last May.
Licensed 1 year this May.
Okay. And but in your experience, have you ever had another placement with Montgomery County DSS?
Yes.
And was that a fictive kin placement?
We've had one kinship placement, but the other placements have not been.
Okay. And so, I guess we'll kind of go back here. So with Children's Home Society, they communicated to you that there was no issues, but the baby boy is not home. Where did baby boy stay during the day when he was with you?
When he was with me, he was either at work with me or at home with me.
And and your other child, were they stay at home, or are they at home, or do they go somewhere during the day?
They're at home.
Okay. And so, have you ever had any children in your home in daycare?
I have.
Okay, and in regards to that daycare, did you happen to cross paths with the current placement of baby boy?
I did. A previous placement that I had and baby boy attended the same daycare.
And with that being said, are they related, to your knowledge, with baby boy's biological parents?
No.
And have you had any further interactions with those, what we're assuming is licensed foster parents, but if they haven't been able to get licensed in Montgomery County because there hasn't been a foster class in Montgomery County, North Carolina since 2017, and that class is called a MAP class, and Montgomery County, North Carolina has made zero efforts to have that class since it's had its director, Stephanie Smith. With that being said, you've had an interaction with supposedly a licensed foster family that currently has placement. Where did you have the interaction at?
We ran into each other at daycare, dropping the kids off one morning, and I also own a business and that they frequent.
And what's that business?
Kid-to-kid consignments and Star.
And so they came in to consign some things?
They came in to consign some of the items that I had sent baby boy home with, or to his next placement.
So you bought items for the child, sent them with the child, and then how long later was he consigning, or were they consigning these things?
No more than 2 weeks later, after they had received him in their home.
And so they received the baby, and the baby is in daycare with them. And do they have children, any other children in daycare?
They have another foster child that attends daycare, but they have biological kids that stay at home with the foster dad.
So their biological children are in their home during the day, and they put an 8-month-old in a daycare.
Correct.
Does baby boy have any medical needs that he would need to be with? Do you have concerns the baby boy's medical needs are not being met in a daycare facility?
Absolutely.
When foster children come into your home, do they often have issues?
Yes.
And some of those issues, and they require special medical care, correct?
Correct.
Were you able to provide that in your home?
I was. And that's the reason why we chose not to put baby boy in daycare. We had that option, but we chose not to so that we can meet his medical needs on a daily basis.
Has anyone from Montgomery County DSS ever returned your phone call or called you back or told you anything about why baby boy was not returned to you?
No communication.
Okay, and this would be a good kind of slide into your story. So we said baby girl arrived in your home in what month?
December of 2021.
December 2021, and straight from the hospital, correct?
Yes, we picked her up and brought her home from the hospital.
And so, was there any family members, to your knowledge, that were capable of taking baby girl into their home?
No, that's why we were called.
And so, you had baby girl for how long in your home?
4.5 months.
And at 4.5 months, when she was removed from the home, did you want her to stay in the home?
Absolutely.
Was there any welfare checks ever called out to your home?
No.
When were you told that there were that the baby girl was going to leave? When were you told baby girl was going to leave your home?
DSS contacted Children's Home Society on early Friday morning, last Friday, and told them that the baby would be moving that day.
Okay, the baby would be moving that day. Where have you been expressing concern? Have your social worker said anything prior to that the baby might be moved?
Prior to that, when we brought baby home, when they determined paternity, Dad had some siblings that he recommended, some sisters, and they could not care for the child. They did not want the child. One, her house was full, and the other one worked 7 days on, 7 days off, so she could not care for an infant.
Okay, and so with that situation, is there, to your knowledge, do you know where the biological parents wanted the child to be?
My social worker expressed on one of her visits that Mom had said that she wanted the child to remain with us, that she did not want it to be with Dad's family.
And so, to your knowledge, was Dad forcing or asking for the child to be placed with his family?
Dad came for the very first, he came to DSS right after the child was born and expressed that he wanted his sisters to have option to care for her, and they could not. And that was all he expressed, was his sisters. Only thing that Mom expressed was that she did not want the baby to go to Dad's family.
And so, did a social worker start telling you that they were going to do a workaround in the system to take the child out of your home?
No. In March, in our March visit, our social worker comes out once a month. In our March visit, she told us that an uncle had come forth, the infant girl's uncle, and that she was prepared to do a home study that week, and she would let me know how it went.
Okay, and so what you mean actually, yes, so she said something about a home study somewhere else, correct?
A home study with the uncle.
And the uncle, and was there any concerns? Is there a reason why he couldn't be placed with the uncle?
Well, our social worker, well, let me back up. Our guardian ad litem called the next week and told us that the home study had been done, that the home study was fine, that the home was suitable, but the only problem was that Dad was an illegal immigrant, and because of that, the child could not be placed with him.
Okay, so he was an illegal immigrant, and then did they continue to pursue and say things like, we're gonna try to work a way around?
On Friday of that week, our social worker called us to let us know about the home study that had been done, and she expressed to me that the dad was an illegal, the uncle was an illegal immigrant, and that she wanted us to be patient so that she could find a way to place that child with the illegal immigrant. I said, you mean patient by wait until he obtains his he obtains his legal status but gets citizenship, and because that could take years, and she said, no, that I want you to be patient while I find a loophole to be able to place this child with an illegal immigrant.
Okay, and so did you want that?
Absolutely not. That showed, it threw up so many red flags as being a parent, being in the motherly role for this child, how that could be dangerous.
Are you aware that in North Carolina is one of the 20 states that does not allow children to be placed with illegal immigrants? And in regards to that, prior to the illegal, if the child was unable to return to his biological parents, were you willing to adopt the child?
Absolutely, 100%.
And in regards to baby boy, if the child was unable to be returned, which reunification, of course, the ultimate goal, are y'all against reunification?
No.
As you sat through court, have you seen parents in that courtroom that you thought actually should have got their child back?
Yes, on multiple occasions.
And so you're not standing up in court today and saying that you shouldn't have the child, that you should have the child and not the biological parents, right?
No,
Right.
And so but if that was in certain situations, sometimes parents are not in a position, and the main goal is stability, correct?
Correct.
Were you willing to adopt baby boy?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So both, and we have some voices from the foster fathers here, and we might give them a turn to speak because women have to get their say-so, their day first. But with that being said, had you ever given DSS, any of you, something that they got an attitude with you about, or told you they would take the child that was completely unrelated?
Yes. Early on, we were preparing to get our taxes done. And our accountant, we asked about baby girl, could we claim her on our taxes? And he said, absolutely, because we had her 90% of her life. And we reached out to DSS, could we have her social security number? And no, we cannot have that. My husband emailed back and forth with them, possibility, why can't we have this? Well, my social worker came for a visit, and I told her, I said, you know, I'm not complaining or fussing in any way. I said, I just want to know what's the policy, you know, how are things? And she said, you cannot have the social security number. If you ask for it again, we will remove the child.
So they threatened to remove the child over you asking for information.
Yes.
Have you been told by other members or other foster parents of other counties that it is automatically provided to you, the social security number?
Yes, automatically given, Medicaid card, automatically given, and we get a placement letter. One of my placements, I had to ask for the letter. They didn't want to give that.
Wow. And in regards to you, have you ever said anything that with a strong-willed? Are you someone that had they ever bucked up to you before, said anything rude?
Yes. Anytime that we ask questions about how the case is going, what's to be expected next, or how did court go, anytime we questioned their authority, we got nothing but pushback.
Okay, and so when you question authority, and so have you both been to court before and watched other proceedings?
Yes.
Yes.
And watching other proceedings in regards to biological parents?
Yes.
Have you noticed a trend of which parents, have you noticed anything about pushback in any cases unrelated to you? Either one of you can go first.
I have. I mean, anytime that, let me just say this. I have watched a case in Montgomery County where biological parents have done everything possible to reunify with their child, and DSS has still not reunified the child with the biological parents. And to me, that is a problem.
Okay, and so once you were told that it's possible this child be placed with an illegal citizen when it's not legal to do that, did you express concern to any higher up authority members in Montgomery County?
Yes, we knew that we were taking a risk by voicing our opinion, but we just could not stand by and let these children of Montgomery County be put at risk.
And who did you contact?
I contacted Commissioner Dana Dawson, and she agreed to meet with me. I met with her at her business and explained the situation to, you know, and our concerns. And she told me, she said, you know, she was just an elected official, that there was not anything per se that she could do, but I needed to speak with Frankie Manus because Frankie Manus was over DSS.
And was this prior to the child being removed from your
This
home?
was about 3 weeks before the child was removed.
Okay, wait, so you met with Dana Dawson, a county commissioner, but when the child was removed from your home, who came with the social worker to move the child?
This is our 6th placement. Whenever a child has been removed, only one social worker comes. One instance where a child was removed, we took it to the next foster placement, kinship placement. But 2 social workers came and Ray Dawson came.
So, Ray Dawson, who did he state he was there with when he came?
Did he state who he was with?
So, did he come in a sheriff's deputy car?
No, he came in a plain vehicle and he was in plain clothes.
Plain clothes, plain vehicle, and did he identify himself as someone with Montgomery County Sheriff's Office?
He did not.
Okay, and what did he say he was there as? Did he call himself why was he in your home?
He did not say why he was there. I spoke with him. We told the child bye. I asked some questions because we were concerned about, you know, the situation of baby girl leaving our home, the events that led up to her leaving. And I spoke to the social worker because Stephanie Smith told me that they had purchased everything that the family needed where she was going, that DSS purchased everything that they would need to bring that child home today.
So, wait a second. Was everything purchased before you ever got any of your other placements?
No, ma'am. In order for a home study to be passed, because we have been in the situation where we were kinship placement before we were foster parents. And DSS had to come into our home and we had to provide, or to prove that we had somewhere for that child to sleep, somewhere for his clothes to go. We had to prove we had the things that he needed, and we had to prove that we had food
Income.
and
Okay.
income. And then we were granted a home study.
Did Ray Dawson call himself a child advocate in your home?
He gave my husband a business card and said that he was a child advocate. He worked for, against human trafficking and things like that.
Wait, so he came into your home and said, "Hi, hello, I have a business and I'm against human trafficking." And as a child advocate, have you ever seen him, to your knowledge, is he sworn in as a guardian ad litem in North Carolina?
No, it wasn't exactly like that. He, he gave, my husband a business card identifying who he was, that didn't exactly say those words.
And did he express any did you see any guns on him?
I honestly don't remember.
Are you aware that Montgomery County's sheriff candidate, Jamie Kearney, stated that he learned the day after that Ray Dawson went out on the call as a sheriff deputy, even though he was an unmarked car and plain clothes?
No, we weren't aware of that.
Did you know that Captain Jamie Kearney, who was over the sheriff deputies in North Carolina, that he expressed that they send sheriff deputies out, and he was not authorized, but he went because if there's going to be a scuffle or a safety issue to protect social workers. Did you know that?
No.
Have you y'all ever been in a fight?
No.
Have you been arrested?
No.
Do you have any pending criminal charges?
No.
Have you ever gotten aggressive with a social worker?
No.
Would you get aggressive with a social worker?
No.
So there's AKA child advocate, businessman, sheriff deputy-ish, unpaid, in your home and married to the county commissioner that you previously spoke to. So was that county commissioner aware that you did not want a child removed from your home?
Yes, she was very aware of that.
And
But
so,
there was a 3-week time span in between that.
are you aware there's obstruction of justice in North Carolina for a sheriff's deputy to interfere with a county role in which his spouse, if he's married to someone within the county? Did you know that what could be considered obstruction of justice?
No, we did not.
Are you aware that in another county, when a magistrate was married to an elected sheriff and she didn't make any decisions at all whatsoever in the case, she was charged with 21 felonies of obstruction of justice? Did you know that?
We did not.
And are you familiar with the term conflict of interest?
Yes.
Some might say, knowing that information I provided you today, would you call that a conflict of interest?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, in regards to Stephanie Smith, and then who was Stephanie Smith's boss?
Frankie Mann.
Frankie Manus.
And so Frankie Manus, you mentioned him before. Did you speak with Frankie Manus?
Yeah, Adam and I went and we spoke with Frankie Manus, and told him our concerns about the child being placed with an illegal immigrant, and we knew that we were putting ourselves at risk for complaining or going higher up because DSS's retaliation. If you complain, if you question their authority, they'll move your child. And we didn't want this child removed.
How long after that was child removed?
3 weeks.
And when the child was removed, what was the time of day that you got a phone call from Montgomery County DSS notifying you the child would be removed?
4:30.
And was that child placed in the home that you were previously told would be placed, the illegal citizen,
No.
to your knowledge?
No.
And so was there enough time frame for the decision that was made earlier that day to the 4 o'clock notification that the child be going somewhere else for a home study to be conducted?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so there was no home study conducted, you were told at 4 o'clock, and did you leave your home or flee or try to run away?
No.
Okay, and so what time did they all get out to your house?
A little bit after 5:30.
What day of the week?
Friday afternoon.
What was on Monday?
We had a scheduled court date on Monday.
And when you got to that court date, were you represented by counsel?
Yes.
And were you given an opportunity to speak?
No, I was not.
Are you aware that in North Carolina that foster parents have a right to speak?
Yes.
And when the social worker got up on the stand, did they say anything about the child's current placement?
The social worker said that the child was doing well, that she was adjusting well and that she was currently placed with her documented aunt. But, you know, opposing counsel, which is the court-appointed attorney for the biological mother, asked the social worker, he said, how do you know the child's doing well? Wasn't she moved on Friday? Yes. And he said, have you spoken with the foster family? No, I have not. And he's like, well, how do you know the child is doing well, that she's adjusted well, that she hasn't cried all night? And she said, well, I plan on getting in touch with them after court.
How long did that hearing last?
15, 20 minutes.
So they made a decision, and that child is going to be placed there indefinitely with a 10-ish minute, 10, 15 minute hearing?
Yes.
And with your situation, when you went to court, since you have filed to enter this case, have you been given an opportunity to be heard in court?
No,
Have they had a hearing about the child or where the child is? Or even, to your knowledge, has the judge approved where that child is currently located?
no.
The last time you were in court, or the case was in court, who was and the case was heard before a judge, who was the foster parent at that time? Was it you?
Yes.
So there's just been indefinite court date, and this has been continued out forever.
Yes.
And in regards to your situation, as mine, both of you, and to our foster fathers here, and do you work?
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
so you were out of the home, or excuse me, not in court on the days in court of these specific court dates.
That's right.
And what are your work schedules?
Monday through Friday, 7 to 10 and 12 hour shifts, it all depends.
And what about you?
Monday through Friday, 7 till 3:30-ish, 4 o'clock.
And were you involved with the child?
Yes.
And are you able to provide for the child?
Yes.
Do you have enough room in your home for the child?
Yes.
And are you aware in this specific situation, when asked when the foster parent was asked after court if they were in position, the current foster parent of 48 hours on the last court date, that when asked if that foster parent would like to adopt that child, that they could not definitively say yes. Were you present for that conversation?
Yes, I was present for that. I have been in every court date that every placement that I have had has had. I try to be very involved in my foster children's life and be in their court proceedings to know what is going on so I can represent their best interest.
And then the last,
That day in court, I witnessed something that was extremely uncalled for. My attorney went, which was you, and went over to speak with the placement aunt, and she was bombarded.
when you say she, do you mean the placement aunt, the witness, or do you
The
mean?
witness was bombarded, and my attorney was bombarded, which is you, by DSS, by Jeannie Blake, by the DSS supervisor. You were screamed at, and a normal person, if they reacted like that, they would have been held in a contempt of court, and nothing like that was done.
And so when you said your attorney did the aunt or the current placement, did she was she scared of the attorney when she came up to
No,
her?
the bailiff came over there and asked her, he says, ma'am, are you trying to leave? Is this lady blocking you? And she said, no ma'am, no sir, we're speaking to her.
Okay.
And they were calm, there was no, they were not, in fear for their lives, they were not, the only intimidation was them being screamed at, do not speak to her, do not talk with her, being advised that they should not speak with you.
Have you had, as a foster parent, are you aware that, like, if you're unrepresented by an attorney, that an attorney is legally able to speak with you if you want to?
Exactly.
And so was there any aggression on the part of you? Were you aggressive with that? Were you nearby your attorney?
No, I was standing right there.
And so was there any aggression between the family, the biological family, two family members, and you and your attorney? Was there any aggression between
No,
those people?
no.
And so you're saying other people, the social worker, did they
Social
scream
worker,
in
they were screaming to the top of their lungs, running.
Who ran?
Nala Brown, Trish Jones, Jeannie Blake, Stephanie Smith. They were all
And when they
running.
ran, did Stephanie Smith say anything? Do you remember?
Yes, she said, I advise you that you are not to speak with her. I advise you do not speak with her, do not listen to her, do not answer anything, any questions.
Do you know
that
what your
she has.
attorney replied?
Yes, my attorney replied that, you can't advise anybody to do anything because you're not an attorney.
And in regards to Jeannie Blake, did she come the closest to you and the witness or the biological family and your attorney?
Yes, I honestly thought maybe she was fixing to swing.
And when she was up in that face, could you smell odor around her that she was that close?
Yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable.
And who was she yelling for when she did it?
Well, she was yelling for them not to speak.
And
then
then-
before she did that, she yelled for Judge Nance to do something.
And so was Judge Nance in the room?
I never saw Judge Nance. He was on the bench, but I never saw him. He never moved. I couldn't take my focus off the fiasco that was in front of me.
And in regards to that, did you say a word?
I did not say a word.
Did your attorney speak hatefully or harshly to
No.
anyone?
No.
And was there other people that witnessed this?
Yes.
And were in regards to the situation, were there other people watching, and did they come and say anything at all?
No.
Any people unconnected that were not DSS? Were there people or parties behind sitting in the gallery? Did they walk up and try to say something?
No.
Do you remember where there was an individual just trying to ask the attorney for help?
There were two individuals that were behind. The biological family wanted your card.
Okay, and
Yeah.
so they were trying to hire the attorney
Right.
during that kerfuffle.
Yeah.
And were you intimidated?
I was intimidated by how they acted. Yes.
And so with the way DSS acted, and you want to be a witness in this case, correct?
Absolutely.
You were planning to be a witness on that day in turn, correct?
Yes.
Do you think that the current foster family would have felt intimidated?
Absolutely.
By who?
They would have been scared to go against anything DSS said, because that would be like, you're not supposed to act that way in court. Court should be a respectful place.
And to be clear, the people doing the intimidating was Attorney Jeannie Blake, Stephanie Smith, Nala Brown, but the person who came
Trish
the
Jones,
close,
yeah, was
the
Jeannie
person who
Blake.
came, Jeannie Blake. And so after this, have you spoken with anyone in relation to the situation?
I have contacted numerous people. I have contacted the rest of the commission and board. I've spoken with them. I have spoken with Representative Ben Moss. I've spoken with Senator Jarvis's office. I've spoken with Tom Tillis's office today, Richard Burr's office today. I have a call into Mark Robinson.
Have you spoken with any family members of the foster, I'm the biological mom?
I was able to get in touch with the biological mom's sisters.
Okay. And what did she say about the situation?
She was not surprised that DSS, it was a joke the whole time that we had this placement, because this was baby girl, 13th child of this biological mom. And instead of, excuse me, this is the 13th child, she's out on parole now, 14th is probably on the way. It should be, how can we help this individual to be a better person? There's no help provided for her. Yes, she has to want help, but is any help ever offered?
So you're wanting the biological mom to be able to get help.
Absolutely.
And in regards to that, if the biological mom got help and let's say you did adopt, would you allow any contact or relationship?
Absolutely.
Would you allow a contact with the biological siblings?
Absolutely.
Did DSS ever tell you to do that?
No.
So she'd never met any of that biological family prior to being removed.
No.
On Friday, when we say Friday, the most recent Friday, you were in
Yes.
court on this past Monday.
Right.
And so with that being said, the biological sister, that it would be the aunt, the biological mother's sister, the aunt of the mom.
Mm-hmm.
did she say that DSS had ever forced that family to do anything before?
She explained to me that she had a sibling, and that child would be almost 4 now. And the current placement of baby girl also has this that past placement. And she explained at that time that biological family member did not want that child, that DSS forced her to take it. And she felt like they probably done the same thing with this one.
We're gonna wrap up soon, but we're gonna say real quickly, you're licensed through Children's Home Society. And to your knowledge, does Children's Home Society receive any money from placement because they participate?
Yes,
Yes.
we receive a small stipend every month.
You receive a small stipend, but does Children's Home Society also receive stipend?
Yes.
And are you aware of any statements made by anyone in Montgomery County DSS that it costs them more money if a child in Montgomery County is placed with someone in Children's Home Society?
Yes.
Yes.
From Jenny Blake.
Yes.
And then you've heard her make that statement, but not cost more money, but do they get reimbursed from the state and federal government?
Yes. When children come into foster care, the state and the federal government reimburses DSS for the children that they have custody of.
And so they just get a little less money if Children's Home Society is involved.
That's correct. It's
So-
like they have to share the money that they are getting from the state.
And to be clear, they get money for them, not just for you. It doesn't all go to you in Children's Home Society.
That's
Correct.
correct.
So they profit more money when the children are not in Children's Home Society homes.
Yes.
What did you hear on the recorded statement that Jeannie Blake said? Did that affect their decision?
Yes.
Yes.
Have you heard from anyone communicated to any Montgomery County authorities that they were not refusing to place anyone with Children's Home Society?
When I spoke with Stephanie Smith on Friday, concerning the fact that they had called Children's Home Society and said our baby girl was going to be moved, she was very angry that I knew that was a possibility of the child being removed that day, and told me that she wanted to know who my worker was, and they should have never told me that, and that they did not need Children's Home Society. They would no longer use Children's Home Society because they had enough foster families in Montgomery County.
To your knowledge, has Children's Home Society lost their licensing or anything to that effect?
No.
Are you also licensed, Foxbury?
Yes.
We just got relicensed.
You just got licensed, you're fresh.
Mhm.
And in regards to her saying you should have known that, are you aware that there is a foster family bill of rights?
Yes.
And does it say anything about the notification of when a removal should take place?
Yes.
When it's reasonable notice?
Yes.
Would you consider that time frame that you were given reasonable notice?
No.
Would you consider that time frame reasonable notice?
No.
When you were in court on Monday, did the DSS attorney, what did she say about that foster family bill of rights?
She was not aware that there was a foster family bill of rights, and she stated that they were the custodians of these children, and they had the discretion to move them whenever and wherever they wanted to.
But they still have requirements to it. Shouldn't it all be about the best interest of the children?
Exactly.
Do you think it's about the best interest of the children today?
No.
No.
And to sum up, and we thank you for our viewers and for giving these individuals a chance, we do have a call to action.
Friday.
Adam and Jennifer Bowles, they attend a church. What church is that?
Guiding Light Baptist Church.
And what church do you attend?
The same.
Okay. Oh, I didn't realize that. So y'all's church is going to, what are they going to do?
Our church has reached out to the commissioners and the county manager on our behalf to let them know, because they've grown attached to this child. As she's been in every service in anything the church had going on since placement. And they have called the commissioners, they've called their county manager, and we are preparing a peaceful protest. Thursday is National Day of Prayer, and we believe that prayer changes things. And we are going to join in the parking lot of the county administration building and have prayer. We're going to pray pray for those DSS workers, we're gonna pray for our county administration, and we're gonna pray most of all for these babies.
And will there be anything going on inside that building at that
The
time?
county commissioners will be having a work session at that time.
And it's a peaceful prayer protest, and, are you inviting anybody in the county outside?
Anybody, yes.
And so you want to pray for also services to actually be provided, to, the biological parents.
Absolutely.
Are you aware that, Kim Barrington, do you know who she is?
I do.
Who is she?
She works at DSS. She at one time was over, Child Protective Services. I think
Right
she's-
now, she works in child support.
Did you know that she's only been actually, her job is actually only child support? She's not a licensed social worker, did you know that?
Yes.
Even though she acted as a supervisor. Were you aware that one time when a biological parent asked for, help, and have you ever been to any of the cases that were heard down in the lower courtroom basement?
Mhm.
And there was out in the hall, and she asked for if she could get help with the rehab. Did you know that someone acting as supervisor said they got themselves in this mess and they should get themselves out of it on their own? Did you know that?
No, that's very sad.
Do you think that's something that maybe in our prayer that you could ask your preacher to pray that also that these families that our county is suffering from a major opioid crisis?
Yes.
And that in your knowledge, do you see families that seem to be beating their children, like the biological parents, or is it more they're struggling, poverty?
I would say poverty and drugs is the main cause of,
So it's
Things going
it's an
on.
epidemic.
yeah.
And does it seem as if these parents they hate their children, they beat them? When you entered the foster care system, was it different than what you expected when you go into the courtroom?
Absolutely.
And so you see a different side from these parents than what you see on TV. Oh yeah, they're in the foster system. Mamas and daddies are.
They're not all bad.
No.
You know, people make mistakes,
Right.
and even as foster parents, we're here to love their children from the day we get them until the day they leave our home. And if they're not able to return home, then we love them forever. And even if they do leave our home, we still love them forever. And our goal as foster parents isn't to take people's kids or adopt people's kids. You know, we are here to help the biological parents to get their children back as well. You know, we have to do shared parenting with them and talk to them and let them see their children while they're in our home and try to help them and encourage them on their path to recovery.
That's a strong statement. I think that needs to be carried into the prayer, and we're going to leave that with. We hope everyone that cares about the system that's going on. We realize that a lot of people are not affected by Montgomery County DSS because there's very few foster families in Montgomery County. Montgomery County says they have enough with 6 or 7, which we have on a recorded line that's how many they have at this time. Most of them are kinship placements, and they have far more cases in Montgomery County than 6 or 7, and they haven't had a foster class in a long time. So there is a need for strong foster families, but there's just not a lot of people here that experience this. But would you say, from what you've seen, that this speaks volumes of how can this have effect on families outside of these families that are affected in court?
Absolutely.
Or do you think that, are you here because you want to thump on your drum, or did anybody force you to come here today?
No.
No.
Is this something that you that you wanted that? Were you wanting? Do you want to go on Facebook Live and share one of the worst times of your life?
No.
What are you doing? What is your purpose for it?
Our purpose is when we were told that our child was going to be placed with an illegal immigrant, our foster placement baby girl, and that it would be perfectly legal for him to adopt this baby girl. It just broke our hearts, because if this is a common practice for Montgomery County DSS, then how can they possibly sleep at night with knowing that that is not in the best interest of the child? How can you put them with somebody when their guardian has the option of being deported?
And so you're here to share their story as a call to action and to ask
Correct.
others to care.
Yes.
And if the only thing you really want is, do you feel like those children are of the best interest in us? Do you feel confident that they're safe tonight?
I don't know.
Would you take them back in your home right now if they hand them over?
Absolutely.
Do you plan on shutting up until at least you know that they're safe?
Absolutely not.
I'm gonna leave it with that. Men, if you have anything to say, or just that your wives, you concur, or is there anything you wanna leave, the public with?
I said, we've had 6 placements, and I remember all 6 of them. We got pictures of them, and still pray daily for them. I think all of them said this and went back home to the parents, and we was fine with that.
So you didn't cut up any time when they were with parents?
They went back home to parents, and parents straightened out, and we was glad for it.
We've had,
And, we still pray
You've
daily
had
for
20?
Probably
yeah,
20
we've
placements.
been licensed. I want to let you guys know that we're not getting, our license aren't getting renewed because we lost them. Foster parents have to go through training and get their license renewed every 2 years.
And you didn't have any issue?
And we had no issue. They were just renewed April the 1st. And so me and my husband Tyler have been foster parents for 2 years with Children's Home Society. And we've had approximately 20 kids in and out of our home. And we love these kids. And I just want to see the right thing done. And my baby boy to come home.
Have you ever went on social media or hired an attorney prior to this situation?
No, ma'am.
No.
Has any other county treated you this way?
Absolutely not. And we have dealt with multiple, probably 5 or 6 different counties across North Carolina and have never been treated the way that Montgomery County DSS has treated us.
Thank you all for watching, and thank you.